I'm really glad we could visit for a few moments, and I hope I can be an encouragement to your day. Remember this, and David's going to remind us of it. God is in control. I don't know what you're facing right now, but every day when you feel like things are spinning out of control in some way, or when you're facing trouble or difficulty, it helps to remind yourself that one day God's going to put all of your problems under his feet once and for all with finality. And that's what David is going to say in verses 3 and forward in Psalm chapter 9. Now, in verses 1 and 2, he starts with, kind of a framing contextual posture of praise. Remember this, David's in trouble, okay? We got to remember that. I will praise thee with my whole heart. I will show forth thy marvelous works. I'll be glad and rejoice in thee. I will sing praises to thy name. Now look at verse 3. The context begins to unfold that David's in trouble, but he is rehearsing a future event. When mine enemies are turned back, they shall fall and perish at thy presence. For thou hast maintained my right and my cause. Thou sattest in the throne, judging right. Thou hast rebuked the heathen. Thou hast destroyed the wicked. Thou hast put out their name forever and ever. O thou enemy, destructions are come to a perpetual end. And thou hast destroyed cities, their memorial is perished with them. So we'll pause right there. What's going on here? Is this something that's already happened? Is this something that's happening right now? Is this something that's about to happen or will happen in the future? Well, there's a little bit of the sense of all three of those things, or all four of those things, in all of these verses, okay? So David says, when mine enemies are turned back. So this hasn't happened yet in this sense, but he knows it will. And that's what's exciting about this. David's going, I'm dealing with enemies right now. I got problems. I got people that are slandering, scorning, wanting to hurt me, wanting to kill me, wanting to dethrone me, wanting to prevent me from getting to the throne. Whatever the situation, he's got legitimate enemies. And one of the things that's holding him together is he knows they're going to lose. Not because he's got a great plan to defeat them, but because he belongs to a great God. And when it comes to right and wrong, when it comes to justice, in this instance, David knows he's innocent. David knows that he's on the right side of justice. And he knows that God, as a just God, is going to defeat his enemies. Either he's looking back, which we're going to see in a minute, he's looking back to times that God has done this. He's looking at an imminent moment where God can do this, but he's looking kind of at a future sense that ultimately one day with great finality, God will ultimately do this. So this is holding him together. He's reminding himself of a future truth, a future inevitable reality on the side of God. One day my enemies will be turned back, okay? They will retreat. They will be defeated. They shall fall and perish at thy presence. You see, in the sense it hasn't happened, David's taking hope in the fact that it will. So when circumstances aren't changing, you can still be held by the strong confidence that they one day will. Okay, verse 4, for thou hast maintained my right and my cause. What's he saying? Even though I live in a world that can treat me unjustly and spin fake narratives against me, I can be falsely accused, I can be slandered, maligned, I can have groups of people that believe things about me that are purely untrue. There is a record. There is a final ultimate courtroom where all things are being recorded. And every motive is being documented with just precision, with 100% accuracy. God is maintaining a record of right, and he understands my cause. There is I have an advocate. Now, in this sense, David knew he was right. It's a little bit of a terrifying thought in the occasions where we know we're wrong, where we've willfully lied or cheated or hurt, or where we've been wrong. But in this case, David knows he's in the right. He knows he is He knows that his enemies are in the wrong and that there's injustice happening. But he's assured in his heart that a just God in the courtroom of the universe has a right record. Now apply that to your life, my friend. What's unfolding in your life that is unjust right now? Everybody experiences injustice on some level, some and in certain seasons to a greater degree than others. But all of us have experienced injustice because we live in an unjust world, and humanity just is bent towards injustice. We hurt each other, okay? So David says, God's got the record, and I belong to God. And one day God's going to write the record. And that's a beautiful, liberating, wonderful reality. You can go live your life today with confidence and assurance and durability and buoyancy that you don't have to be dismantled. You don't have to lose your sanity. You don't have to fall to pieces or be vulnerable to the injustice of others. Why? Because you are held firmly in the grasp of a just God. Look at the back part of verse 4. Thou sattest in the throne, judging right. You're there, God. You're in your throne. You're a righteous judge. You're a joyful advocate. You're on my side, and I'm in your care. And so I'm good. If injustice is unfolding in my life, you'll give me the ability to endure it, to thrive in spite of it, to flourish through it, or rise above it. But I can rest and wait. I can be patient on justice because I know you're sitting in your throne. You have not vacated the throne, and one day the record will be made right. Verse 5, thou hast rebuked the heathen. Now we get a past tense. Whether he's referring to a moment in history of his memory where he remembers God rebuking the heathen so he knows it's going to happen again, or whether he's looking in a future sense like as though it's already done, okay? Like it's as good as done, okay? Thou hast rebuked the heathen. Thou hast destroyed the wicked. Thou hast put out their name forever and ever. Now, let me just draw out one really good application of this. I kind of bounce between the cosmic applications, the global applications, and the personal applications. The personal applications are, I can absorb injustice because God's going to write the record. But there's a bigger application, and that is that every time you turn on the news or I turn on the news, we see the nations raging against God and against righteousness. We see the fear-mongering of our media narratives. We see the incompetence of political structures. We see the frailty and the flawed structures of man-made structures. We see the corruption of both ends of the political spectrum. I mean, let me just be honest with you. I'm conservative in my political views, but I see corruption in every political party. I see dishonesty. I see power, fear-mongering in every political spectrum. I see people doing wrong and justifying it because of their moral, conservatism. I still see injustice. I still see man-made systems that are oppressive in every political structure. Well, that's humanity. Humanity is never going to come up with an ideal. We have, we envision ideals, but then it's filtered through our sin natures, and so it becomes broken. And so there's a very big view of this, that when we look at the world, and yes, there are the enemies of God in the world, and there are nations raging in godless dictates and in oppression to varying degrees. And we go, wow, does God even care? And what David is saying is, yeah, he's going to rebuke the heathen. He can and will, he can and he will destroy the wicked and put out their name forever. There is the comprehensive promise that one day God will ultimately, infinitely, perfectly, eternally write the record. And that holds our hope. It keeps our sanity when we just want to lose our minds and scream at the television for what the world is doing and what leaders are doing and what godless men are doing. And then in verse 6, he cries out, and this, we're almost done. He cries out almost rhetorically to his enemies, "O thou enemy," like buckle up, destructions are come to a perpetual end. You've chosen the wrong side, and your road goes nowhere good. Thou hast destroyed cities, their memorial is perished with them. So again, the direction there, I got to look at it more deeply. Whether thou refers to the enemies or back to God, the direction kind of shifts. I'll let you know tomorrow. But the big picture here is David is finding, in a crazy day where he's dealing with multiple enemies, he's finding great strength in the ultimate judgment, righteous, ruling hand of God. And so, my friend, I leave you with that. You are in the grip of a good, comprehensively just God, which means whatever injustice you are experiencing today in your life, you can truly absorb it. You can be durable and buoyant in it. You can rise above it with flourishing joy, and you can even minister in spite of it. God's grace to others. Happy Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.